Hey fellows, welcome back to the Coffee Pass channel. So today's video is a little bit different than the other videos that I normally do in this channel. It's a very simple. Actually, some people came to me asking what are the extensions that I most use developing WordPress projects. And it's been a year that I'm working with the VSCode as my primary IDE. And I thought that it's a good idea make a video to show that for you. As always, I am Donini and I'll be your host. Okay, so to start, it's very important to mention that the VS Code has a lot of extensions built by on the community of developers, and we have so many good extensions to use together with VS Code that it's hard to choose the right one. So in this video I will show to you what are the extensions that I use most and it's good for me, for my own use, and I hope of course that can be useful for you as well. Okay, so my first extension that I really like to use is the code alignment. Why I have an extension to do this task in my code? It's mainly because I like to have an organized code with the equal with spaces um, on the right places, the dots, the commas, and so on. So this is why I like to use this plugin. So I can demonstrate for you a simple use of this. For example, let's imagine that you are declaring an array. For example, I don't know the name, but maybe var equals array, and of course we need to set the type of this code. It's a PHP. Okay, and we have inside of this array a lot of elements, items. For example, I don't know, maybe I will call this item 1, and this is the value. I will set another type like item 2 test equal true, and just one more like item 3 bool. Okay, so let's suppose that I want to organize and ident the equals signal inside these items of array. I just need to press command equal 2 times and boom, there we are. So we have the equals on the same position. And another cool extension that I really like to use is the color highlight. And the main thing of this extension is that I can see the real color inside the IDE when I type some hexadecimal color on my code. For example, let's create a new Sass file, for example. And I would like to create something like a element like body and the background color. And I want to set my color for something like a red. So as you can see, I can see the real color here directly on my IDE. So I know if it's something that I am looking to use inside my my project. Another cool extension that I really like to use for a simple Sass building is the live Sass compiler. With the Sass compiler, we can develop something directly on our IDE, and we don't need to call some terminal to build our Sass file or use some JavaScript framework to automate this process like Grant or Gulp, for example. We just need to press here in this this button at the bottom of the IDE, like watch Sass, and your code is watching. So every change that I do here on my file will be processed, and it will be created exactly file with the same name in the same folder. So I can point this on my code, like on my HTML or my PHP, it doesn't matter, and I will have the Sass source file here. I can edit the file, and this will be compiled and analyzed automatically by this extension. Okay, so still talking about this cool process to have some performance when we are developing something. Sometimes I want to just create a HTML file, a simple HTML file, and I want to test this on my browser. So I don't need to double click in the file and access the file on the browser. I can just hit here in this button, go live, and my project will be live directly on the browser. So this is very useful when you are trying to test something or test some CSS that will be used on my WordPress theme, for example, or my WordPress plugin. And another cool extension that I really like to use during all my days that I am developing something for WordPress, and of course for using the PHP language, is the PHP code sniffer. So with this PHP code sniffer, we can see almost everything related to the quality of our code output. So let's suppose that we put the spaces on the wrong place, or we are using space instead using tabs, or we use, like the first example that I showed you, the equal signal in the wrong place of the code, and even the documentation. And in case of WordPress, this code sniffer can work together with a package that is properly for WordPress, and with this we can see the WordPress errors. So let's imagine that we are trying to output some data and we forgot to use the escapes of WordPress. So this PHP code sniffer extension will point to you, will show to you where is these problems and what are these problems, and you can quickly solve these problems to have a better quality of your code and to have a better understanding of the language, the PHP language, and the WordPress framework and the WordPress APIs that we have in general. Okay, so the next extension is very simple, is the Sass. I use this only to highlight and create, understand the Sass code pretty on my IDE. So I don't use most of the commands that we have because, like I say to you, like I showed to you, I like to use this live Sass compiler as my Sass compiler. So the next extension is the sort lines. So sometimes we are creating small database, small data inside our files, and this is unsorted. Sometimes we copy this from the web or from some CSV file, some other place, and when you put this inside our IDE, when we try to use some PHP to create something like an array or something like that, we need to sort this, and I really like to use this extension to sort all of my code. Okay, the stylus is, I don't know if all of you are familiar with the stylus, because the Sass is the most on the hype of the preprocessors of CSS. But I really like to use the stylus preprocessor as well, because it's simpler than the other, even more simple than Sass. Like I said, I like to use, sometimes I use the stylus, sometimes I use the Sass. I don't have one that I prefer most because both are really used to use, and both are really cool to use. We have a good performance building huge CSS file, so both are really cool. And the last one is the WordPress Development, which is a function that allows us to see a lot of snippets of the WordPress functions inside our PHP code. So let's imagine that we're building something for WordPress, of course, and we need to remember some function inside to use inside our plugin, for example. So we just need to start typing the first letters of this function, and of course the snippet will show up right on our face. We can choose and we can see the attributes, the parameters of these functions, and we can easily use and build our WordPress projects with this extension. Okay, so it's hard to say because, like probably you already know, I am a huge fan of the VS Code. As I said, I am using for a year and I really enjoy. Previously, I have used the Sublime Text, which is another good IDE. But I don't know, I like to use the VS Code. It's simple, faster, and we have a good community creating great extensions for these tools. So I really like to use these IDE in these days. Okay, this is my conclusion. I hope that this can help you to choose the right extensions to your WordPress development, your way to develop WordPress. And as always, let in the comments down below what are the extensions that you are using to code your WordPress projects, and of course your preferred IDE that you use to code in your days. And of course, don't forget to keep me motivated and creating new videos. Share this video, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel to stay tuned to the new videos. That's it. See you guys next time.